I was locking up my diner at 11 p.m. when a teenage boy slid a napkin across the counter that said, "Call 911 but don't react." I'd been running Maple Street Diner for 22 years, seen plenty of strange things, drunk proposals, fist fights over pie, a woman who tried to pay with scratch tickets, but nothing like this. The kid looked maybe 15, sitting alone in booth 6 with a half-eaten burger. He'd come in with 2 adults an hour earlier, a man and woman I assumed were his parents. They'd ordered for him, answered for him, and now they were in the bathroom while he slid me this napkin with hands that wouldn't stop shaking. I kept wiping the counter like I hadn't read it, kept my face bored, but my heart was slamming against my ribs. The napkin had more writing on the back. They took me from a rest stop in Ohio 3 days ago. My real name is Dominic Hartwell. I memorized their license plate. I glanced at the bathroom hallway. Still empty. The kid hadn't looked up once, just stared at his fries like they held the answers to everything. I walked to the kitchen, told my cook Randall to take trash out the back and call 911 from the alley. Kidnapping. Don't come back inside. Randall's face went white, but he grabbed a bag and moved. The bathroom door opened. The woman came out first, scanning the room like she was counting exits. Then the man. He was big, military haircut, walked like he owned every room he entered. They slid back into the booth on either side of the kid, boxing him in. I grabbed a coffee pot and walked over, refilled cups they hadn't asked for. "Everything okay over here?" The man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Perfect. Just a long drive. Family road trip." I looked at the kid. Dominic, if that was really his name. He was staring at his plate, fork frozen midair. The woman put her hand on his shoulder and squeezed. Hard enough that I saw his jaw clench. "He's just tired," she said. "Aren't you, sweetheart?" He nodded without looking up. The man checked his watch. "Actually, we should get going. Long drive tomorrow." He pulled out cash, dropped it on the table. "Keep the change." They started sliding out of the booth, the woman's hand never leaving the kid's shoulder. I had maybe 30 seconds before they walked out my door and disappeared. I did something stupid. I blocked the aisle, pretended to check the napkin dispenser on the next table. "Oh, I'm sorry, let me just..." I fumbled with it, buying seconds. The man's smile tightened. "Excuse us. Of course, of course." I stepped aside but knocked the coffee pot off the table. It shattered. Glass and lukewarm coffee everywhere. "I'm so clumsy. Let me clean this up. You folks just wait right there so you don't step in it." The woman's grip on the kid tightened. He winced. "We'll go around," she said. No, there's glass everywhere. Just give me 1 minute." The man stepped closer. His voice dropped low enough that only I could hear. "Move, now." I looked him in the eyes, saw nothing human looking back, but I also heard sirens in the distance, getting closer. So I kept playing dumb. "You know what? Let me get you folks some pie for the road. On the house. Free pie for everyone." The woman heard the sirens too. Her head snapped toward the window. Blue and red lights were pulling into the parking lot. The man grabbed my collar, yanked me close. "What did you do?" The kid moved. First time all night he'd done anything without permission. He ducked under the woman's arm, scrambled over the booth seat, and ran straight for the door where 2 officers were walking in. That's when everything exploded. The man shoved me into a table and bolted for the kitchen. The woman tried to grab the kid, but he was already behind the cops, screaming that his name was Dominic Hartwell, and he'd been taken from a rest stop in Ohio, and please don't let them take him again. One officer stayed with the kid. The other drew his weapon and followed the man into my kitchen. I heard shouting, a crash, then silence. They dragged him out in cuffs 2 minutes later, bleeding from his forehead where he'd apparently run into Randall's cast iron pan. Randall stood in the kitchen doorway, still holding it. I told him to stay outside. I said to no one in particular. Randall shrugged. I came back inside when I heard yelling. The woman didn't even try to run, just stood there frozen, like a computer that crashed. The officers separated everyone. One took my statement while paramedics checked the kid. Dominic. His name was Dominic and he was 14 years old. An Amber Alert had been issued 3 days ago. His mother was in a hospital in Columbus, beaten unconscious at a rest stop while her son was dragged into a van by people she'd never seen. The couple weren't his parents, weren't related at all. They were part of a trafficking ring that moved kids across state lines. Dominic was supposed to be handed off to someone in Nevada in 2 days. He'd been watching for an opportunity to get a message to someone, anyone, since they took him. The diner was the first time they'd let him sit somewhere with other people. The first time he'd been close enough to pass a note. The officer told me something I'll never forget. If you hadn't stalled them, they'd have been gone before we arrived. 30 more seconds and that kid vanishes forever. I looked over at Dominic, wrapped in a shock blanket, talking to a detective on the phone with his mom. He caught my eye and mouthed 2 words. "Thank you."